Ella had spent years immersed in the past, cataloguing the stories of others while burying her own. One late evening, as she sifted through the archives of a forgotten estate, she found an envelope marked with a single word: truth. Curious, she opened it and pulled out a thin, folded map. It wasn't an ordinary map. It was a depiction of a hidden vault deep beneath the estate's grounds, accompanied by a cryptic inscription: "To find freedom, face the truth you hide." Guided by the map, Ella pressed forward, equal parts intrigued and uneasy. Each step downward felt like a descent, not just into the earth, but into herself. The air grew colder, heavier, as though the tunnel carried the weight of untold truths. At the bottom, she faced an imposing vault door, carved with 7 intricate symbols: a cracked mirror, a lock, a mask, and others she couldn't immediately decipher. The symbols seemed alive, each one radiating a quiet energy that called to her. They weren't just carvings, they were challenges, fragments of herself that she needed to confront. At the center of the door, an inscription read, "Speak the truth, and the key will appear." As her fingers brushed over the cracked mirror, a strange pull coursed through her. The symbol began to shimmer under her touch, and the world around her shifted. The air around her thickened as the vault transported her into a memory, one she had long tried to forget. It was at this moment she suddenly found herself back in her college professor's office, a place that had once filled her with both ambition and dread. But this wasn't just a memory, it was a test. And it wasn't just a scene from her past, it was the first of several tests she would need to face to unlock the vault's secrets. In the memory, Ella stood frozen, gripping the manuscript. Her younger self trembled, paralyzed by self-doubt. She handed the pages to her professor, but quickly snatched them back, muttering excuses about needing more time. She remembered the fear that consumed her, fear of failure, fear of judgment. Perfection had been her armor, but it had also been her prison. The vault's voice echoed in the room. Because you feared imperfection more than progress. You believed perfection was safety, but it became your cage. Tears welled in her eyes as the memory dissolved into shimmering fragments. The cracked mirror symbol floated before her, glowing faintly. To break free, she had to speak the truth that perfection had silenced. Ella whispered, her voice trembling but resolute. "I was scared to fail, but I see now that imperfection is part of the process. Progress matters more than perfection." In her hand was more than a piece of the mirror. It was a fragment of truth, a lesson reclaimed. The first test was complete, but Ella knew the hardest truths were still ahead. The vault's second test drew her into another memory, one she had tried to forget, a bitter argument over a missed deadline. But this time she wasn't just remembering, she was witnessing herself. Ella watched as her past self pointed fingers and raised her voice, accusing her colleague of dropping the ball. The projection froze, leaving her face to face with her younger self. Ella's voice broke as she whispered, "I blamed her because I couldn't face my own mistake. I thought if I shifted the responsibility I'd feel safe, but it only made everything worse." The vault's voice softened. "Accountability is the key to growth. Owning your truth frees you to move forward." The next test was harder to face. Ella had spent years hiding her struggles, her financial difficulties, her insecurities, her fear of being judged. Here the vault revealed the cost of her silence. Ella watched herself dodge questions and plaster on a fake smile, the mask of perfection firmly in place. Tears welled in her eyes. "I was afraid to let anyone see the real me," she admitted. "I thought if they knew the truth, they'd leave. I thought pretending was the only way to belong." The vault whispered, "Authenticity builds connection. Remove the mask, and you will find freedom." With the shard in hand, Ella felt a crack in the walls she had built around herself. Piece by piece, the truth was setting her free. The shards clicked into place and the vault door creaked open, revealing its final secret. A single glowing book resting on a pedestal. Ella approached the book, her name etched across the cover. As she opened it, her breath caught. Its pages told the story of her life, not the polished version she had shown the world, but the raw, unvarnished truth. Her failures, her triumphs, her fears, her courage, it was all there. At the end of the book, one final line glowed. By facing the truth you hide, you unlock the life you deserve. Tears streamed down her face as she closed the book. For the first time, the weight she had carried for so long began to lift. The vault had not been a prison, but a mirror. Its treasures were not material. They were the truths she had buried, now reclaimed. But the journey didn't end with the vault. Ella realized the final step wasn't just knowing her truth, it was sharing it. Months later, Ella stood before an audience. Her voice was steady, her presence confident as she shared her story, not just the discovery of the vault, but the truths it had forced her to confront. "I spent years hiding," she said, "afraid of my flaws, my mistakes, my reality, but shame thrives in silence. Speaking my truth didn't break me, it set me free." In sharing her truth, Ella gave others permission to confront their own. The vault wasn't just a journey for her, it became a map for others to find freedom. The greatest vault we unlock is the one inside ourselves. The truths we fear most are often the keys to our freedom. What truth will you speak today?